May 9th, 1945, the day after VE Day, a team of British military engineers walked into Hut 11 at Bletchley Park in Buckinghamshire with sledgehammers and oxyacetylene torches. By the end of the week, they had reduced the world's first programmable digital electronic computer to a pile of copper, glass, and twisted metal. The man who designed it was watching from the door.
Right. Well, that's that then.
His name was Tommy Flowers. He had spent 2 years and several £1,000s of his own money building it. He was paid £1,000 for the work. He signed the official Secrets Act. He never spoke of what he had built. He went home to his wife in London and did not tell her what he had done in the war. Thomas Harold Flowers had been born in the East End of London in 1905, the son of a bricklayer. He left school at 16, took a mechanical engineering apprenticeship at the Royal Arsenal, and after that, a job as a telephone engineer for the General Post Office. He worked at Dollis Hill, the post office research station, and he was, my quiet consensus, the best vacuum tube engineer in Britain. In February 1943, he received a quiet visit from a mathematician named Max Newman of Bletchley Park. Newman had a problem.
Mr. Flowers, we are reading the German military traffic, most of it, but there is a new cipher, the Lorenz machine, that runs above the level of Enigma. It encrypts the messages between Hitler and his generals. We need to break it. We need a machine that can. Can you build one?
How large is the message?
1,500 characters, 5-bit teleprinter code.
And what is the current method?
We use a small electromechanical device called the Heath-Robinson. It takes a week per message. Mr. Flowers, the men in the field are being killed while we wait.
Flowers went back to Dollis Hill. He proposed a machine that used not relays, not gears, but 1,500 vacuum tubes, what the British called valves, switching on and off thousands of times a second. The committee at Bletchley laughed at him. Vacuum tubes, they said, burn out. 1,500 of them in one machine would fail within minutes.
They burn out when you turn them on and off. If you never turn them off, they last for years. I will leave the machine running.
They told him no. So Flowers built it anyway, with his own money, in 10 months. He hand-soldered 1,500 valves into a machine the size of a small wardrobe. He called it Colossus. On the 5th of February, 1944, he switched it on at Bletchley Park. It broke a Lorenz cipher message in a few hours. It was the world's first programmable digital electronic computer. The whole field of computing, every device with a screen and a processor in the century that followed, traces a direct line through this machine.
My God, Tommy, you actually did it.
Within 6 months, there were 10 colossi at Bletchley. Allied intelligence was reading Hitler's strategic orders within hours of the messages being sent. The D-Day deception worked, in part, because Colossus told the planners that Hitler had believed the deception. Eisenhower himself estimated the work at Bletchley shortened the war by 2 years. On May 8th, 1945, Germany surrendered. The next morning, a directive arrived at Bletchley Park.
By order, all machines, drawings, schematics, and operational records pertaining to the Colossus computers are to be destroyed. The work performed at Bletchley Park is, and will remain, His Majesty's most closely held secret, by order of the Prime Minister.
Churchill had decided that the Soviets, in time, would build their own Lorenz-style ciphers. Britain might need to break them again. The fewer people who knew Colossus had ever existed, the better. Flowers asked if he could keep one machine. For research, he said. The answer came back the same week. No.
Right. Well,
He watched them break it. He went home. He did not tell his wife.
Tommy, what did you do in the war?
telephones. I worked on telephones, dear. Nothing very interesting.
He returned to the post office. He spent the next 33 years quietly upgrading Britain's telephone exchanges. Other men, on the other side of the Atlantic, at Penn, at Bell Labs, at IBM, were credited with inventing the digital computer through the late 40s and into the 50s. ENIAC, in 1946, was hailed as the first electronic computer. Flowers, reading the newspapers, said nothing. In the mid-1970s, the British government began, very slowly, declassifying portions of the Bletchley work. Flowers was, by then, 69 years old and retired. He had not been able to claim his own work for 30 years. When the historian, Brian Randell, came to interview him, Flowers brought out from his attic the only documents he had kept. A few hand-drawn schematics he had not been able to bring himself to burn. He was made a member of the Order of the British Empire, not for Colossus, which the citation could not mention, but for services to telecommunications. He died in 1998 in Mill Hill, North London, at the age of 92. Most of the obituaries got the name of his machine wrong, or did not name it at all. Today, a working reconstruction of Colossus sits at the National Museum of Computing at Bletchley Park. Built in the 2000s from the schematics Flowers had quietly saved. Every computer you have ever used, the device you are watching this on, the network it traveled through, the chip in the satellite that routed it, descends from the machine he built in 10 months in 1944 with his own money, because the men in the field were being killed while they waited. When asked, late in his life, what he felt watching the engineers swing their hammers in 1945, Flowers gave the answer he had given his wife in 1946, when she asked what he had done in the war.
Telephones, dear. Nothing very interesting.